Welcome, everyone. I am pleased to welcome you to the ICTF Emagia webinar, Fundamentals of New Generation Digital Order-to-Cash Solutions. I would like to welcome our speakers, Veena Gundavelli, founder and CEO of Emagia, and Dexter Peavy, Director of Order-to-Cash Transformation, also with Emagia. Today's webinar will last 60 minutes, and we will have a question and answer session at the end. To ask your questions, please use the chat text box on the bottom of your screen. With that, welcome to the program. Let's get started.
Thank you, Beth. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Emagia ICTF webinar, Fundamentals of New Generation Digital Order-to-Cash Solutions. And we'll cover things you need to know about these platforms. I am Veena Gundavelli, and as Beth mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of Emagia. Over the last 20 plus years, I have been primarily, in innovating and delivering digital solutions, for order to cash. I'm very passionate about bringing technology to improve the order to cash processes and to help companies, automate this particular process and bring efficiency. I have also been, given a few recognitions and awards for my work in this particular space, and happy to share, some of the innovations that we have brought over the years. I'm also a Forbes technology contributor, and I do share thought leadership and articles with CFOs and CTOs and CIOs, to bring in automation. So that's a little bit of my background, and I'd like to bring more of a automation and technology perspective to today's discussion. Joining with me is Dexter Peavy, our Director of Order to Cash Transformation. Dexter.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Dexter Peavy, and I've been in the order to cash space for over 25 years, not only as a CFO, but as consultant and also now in the solution design and implementation. I've worked in most every industry, and I look forward to helping you not only on the process side through our discussion today, but what our solutions hold for you and what you should be looking for in a solution as you go down the journey to digital order to cash. Thank you, Veena.
Great. Thank you, Dexter. So with this very quick introduction of Emagia, Emagia is an order to cash solutions provider. We are a proven leader in digital order to cash. We've been, serving the shared services, global businesses for automation, since over a decade now. And we work with several industry affiliations, especially with ICTF and few others. We've been recognized, by industry leaders like Gartner, IDC, Forrester, Hackett, and several others, and won several awards from CFO and several other publications as well. We're also technology partners, from with several leading ERP providers, and we understand, the global, finance environment. Our platform, has primarily been used for global order to cash management, and we have again, processed AR, over several billions, several hundreds of billions, and in 90 countries and 25 different languages. So with that, a little bit about our solution. Our solution is a integrated a digital order to cash platform, and that's where we have the expertise that we would like to share with the audience today. And we cover the entire spectrum, all the way from order entry, new customer credit process, all the way till the cash application and cash management. Okay, so it looks like my presentation is running by itself, autopilot. 1 second, please. So, okay, so let's. So what are the key things that we have in our solution? Just 1 second, please. I just want to turn off this automation. Okay, if you don't mind, yeah. Yeah, just want to go back and maybe just reduce this mode. Yeah, if this is okay for you. So again, coming back to what we do, we have a solution covering all the way from order to order entry, credit processing, invoicing, cash applications, collections, deductions management, and B2B payments. And this is where we bring in expertise to the, to the systems. And coming to what we bring in the order to cash systems, again, a lot of automation, analytics, AI, and this is what we are going to talk about a little bit as to what to expect in the new generation systems. So what can companies do with these kind of systems? Again, a proven case study. If you look at a company like Unisys Global Shared Services, this is a company that again, deployed a digital cash order to cash system, across 90 different countries, 58 business units, processing, over $4 billion worth of receivables, on an order to cash system. What did this bring to them, right? Well, first and foremost, efficiency and automation, bringing out current AR over 85%, bringing, efficiency in terms of managing their DSO across, again, automating the collections process, automating cash application process, and reducing the overall, friction, in the entire order to cash process. They were able to improve the DSO. They were able to increase the automation on cash application by over 90%, and overall, able to achieve world-class digital performance. And we'll talk about a little bit about what is a world-class digital performance. But the story here on Unisys is how global operations, are able to very quickly be transformed into digital operations, digital services, and can have high efficiencies using order to cash systems. So with that, we'll dive right into today's discussion. What is what is an order to cash, digital order to cash platform, and what are the fundamentals that you should look for? Many of you in the audience, may be looking to put together projects, for automation in order to cash, and maybe looking for, preparing, the plan for what portions, of order to cash need to be automated. What should we expect from these systems? What kind of features and functionalities, should we include in the RFP? And, what is it, that we need to look in the evaluations when we look at multiple different vendors? So the purpose of today's discussion is to walk you through what are the typical features, functionalities, and what are the benefits that you see, from each of these functionalities, and help you, to put together a plan, for your project, right? So, so with that, first and foremost, what is the future looking like? And if you look at, again, several of the transformation, consulting practices have put out, roadmaps in terms of what should you expect, the finance operations to look like, by 2025 and beyond. And with this digital age, and as you're planning for the automation, these are certain things, that you need to look for in terms of, the overall trend. Finance operations, are becoming touchless. And, again, as Deloitte talks about, finance is becoming like a factory, right? In the factory, you put a product at the end of the, belt. And by the time it goes through, several different, several different stations, the finished product comes out. and everything runs automatically. And this is where, finance is meant to be like a factory, where it is, it needs to go from one process to the other process seamlessly, and efficiency matters. Like in manufacturing, efficiency matters, and in the turnaround time matters. And that's where, finance operations are going to be measured, metered, for efficiency and, high productivity. The role of finance, has changed, as you all know, and I've heard in several webinars. The role of finance has changed. It has, changed from, back office transaction processing or administrative processing to, looking at the insights, looking at the reports, and giving strategic guidance to the business as to how, how can we grow the business? What are the characteristics of our profitable customers? Which product lines are more profitable? Which logistic providers, are, providing, better service? All of those different aspects of the entire finance supply chain, is what the finance team or the operations team is supposed to, be looking at to streamlining and providing guidance. Finance cycle times, are becoming real time. Whether it is applying cash in real time, or whether it is, reporting, overall, payments, receipts, cash flow forecasting in real time. Real time reporting is becoming, the new norm. Next, moving to the customer self-service, this is opening up a huge area of experience, for the customers. Today, as we all have seen, with the COVID and, post-COVID, customers have gotten used to being digital, and especially with the new generation, customers who want to transact digitally, want to access information digitally, want to, buy the products, on digital platforms, want to do the payments on digital platforms, and the service have, shifted over onto the customer side of the business. So your systems and your processes, now has to be very customer centric and out there with the customers. And that's a big portion of the order to cash transformation that you need to be looking at. Operating models. Operating models have shifted over to digital. In the past, companies were looking for, hey, how do we streamline internal processes or use BPOs and others? But, especially, over the last 24 months to going beyond, every company is looking at, selling the systems or selling their products online. So the front office has moved online, the customer has become digital. So order to cash can no longer, be in the traditional model. Order to cash has to be digital, and it has to match up with the pace of business. And that's where, the order to cash, executives need to be very focused around how do we change to this new operating models and how do we adapt. Next is around ERPs. We all know when you're doing, global operations, we are dealing with multiple financial systems in our IT enterprise. And that is where when you have multiple ERP systems, bringing all of that data together, how do we do that? And, the new generation, all of the ERP systems and as well as the banking systems are liberating, these, pieces of information through APIs, and connectivity is now possible. So this is where I think we, every order to cash, digital transformation project need to focus on how do we bring that all together and have a unified view. And as I've talked about, APIs are liberating, the connectivity and the information exchange. New banking APIs are opening a whole lot of connectivity aspects, between banks and, the internal systems. So this is something that, again, is a big revolution, going on out there. And we'll talk about a little bit more about how all of these impact your B2B payments. And finally, work and workplace. workforce and workplace, is all changing. We all know workplace has now moved into homes, moved into anywhere you are. And workforce, today is a combination of, systems, people, of course, people, systems, and digital assistants. We all are using, systems like Siri and Alexa and all of that in our everyday home. And this is now getting into, your workplace. And we're going to talk about how all of these major changes, paradigm shifts that are happening are something that you need to be very cognizant of as you plan for digital order to cash. So what does this mean? What does this word digital mean? And, what does it get, for, finance organizations? Hackett Group has benchmarked, world-class digital transformation. You can do automation to a certain degree, individual functions, but when you shift to digital, and when you say digital, is the entire process going digital and, becoming touchless. That is when you will have tremendous efficiency in your overall operations. According to Hackett, you get approximately about 60% efficiency gain when you adopt to digital. So meaning, if you're taking about, 10 hours to do certain, amount of tasks, you will be able to do all of that, in 4 hours. Or even from overall cost perspective, if you're, spending about, $100,000, on your overall operations, you'll now be able to cut it down to about, $40,000, right? So there is a significant advantage, going digital and using automation in a big way in your operations. And we'll walk you through today on which areas in your order to cash technology can drastically, change your operations. So let's look, right into the order to cash process and the AR. IDC, one of the leading analysts, recently did a survey to several CFOs, asking them what is the priority on receivables management and the digital transformation of receivable management. And over 59% of them have responded, saying, this is a top priority and we have a project in place, or we will be putting together a project in place to transform this particular function and automate it. Excuse me. And the major drivers, as we have already talked about, the work has shifted remotely. Security is a key concern. You cannot have documents, floating around on people's desks anymore, because people are anywhere, everywhere. So data security is a concern, and hence we need systems, that can handle this. Extensibility and scalability. If we were to expand our operations or, increase, the, market presence in different areas, we don't want to, suddenly hire a whole lot of, resources or take a long time, to be able to adapt. So we want to have systems to be able to help us scale. And lastly, limited IT resources. Today, most AR departments do not, have, a whole lot of IT support, and hence they're looking at, we want to have, systems, that can self-serve. We want cloud-based systems, where the vendors can take responsibility of running, the systems for us. And all of these drivers are, are being considered while, moving on to, this digital order to cash systems. And one of the big things, from a process perspective, we talked about how there is a shift from, being, tactical, being administrative to, being, going into a very strategic role. And this is where there is a lot of spotlight in terms of how do we change, our existing mindset, in the AR, and order to cash functionality. How do we upskill our teams to be able to, shift from this everyday operational processes into strategic? Today, or in the past, I should say, most functions were consumed by everyday data gathering information. For example, bringing in all the information at one location. More than 50% of the time that people spend was gathering all of the information and looking for approvals, or chasing different people for approvals. All of those administrative aspects are now getting automated. And this is where people are looking for, how do we upskill ourselves into understanding this new digital order to cash applications, and how do we start using those applications to learn how can we get reports, dashboards, analytics, and become more strategic in terms of guiding the overall operations. So with that, let's look at what are certain things that you can do with this digital order to cash systems, and why certain things can change drastically. First and foremost, the digital order to cash systems bring real-time visibility in your global operations. Whether you have one ERP system, 10 ERP system, or 100 ERP systems around the world, the digital order to cash platforms brings you real-time visibility at one place, one time, and then giving real-time forecasts in terms of what can you potentially expect, where is it heading towards. So that visibility and forecast is one of the key aspects of the digital order to cash systems. The next is around drastically changing or improving the cash flow and reduction in DSO systems. The entire aspect of digital order to cash systems are making the operations seamless, making the operations touchless, reducing the friction of payments, removing the obstacles. So the big advantage with all of that is the order to cash cycle will be reduced, and will be will have faster access to cash flow and a reduction in DSO. We talked about how digital customers and digital business is what is in store, and this is where digital order to cash systems make you future ready to handle digital customers and digital business. You no longer have to ask a customer to wait for 2 weeks to process a credit application, for example, or you no longer need to wait for few days to apply cash. You can almost have real-time operations and make your digital operations ready for that. And finally, the operations cost and scalability. Drastic cut down in the operations cost and tremendous increase in scalability is what these systems promise. For example, in the order to cash system, one simple function of document data capture, if you're having your remittances coming in in emails or in log boxes, just the ability to read all of that and real time apply into your systems, that brings you tremendous scalability. Whether you have 10 customers sending that, whether you have 1,000 customers sending in remittances, or you have 10,000 customers sending remittances, if one system is able to simply read all of that and apply it in real time, that brings a lot of scalability to organizations to bring many more customers, to roll out many more product lines, to roll out to access many more market segments. So it brings in a lot of scalability without having to worry about how you can manage this growing volume of transactions. So to summarize the key aspects, when you're putting together a digital order to cash, project, key drivers, many of the executives can look at is improving visibility and forecast, improving your cash flow and DSO, providing the, digital infrastructure to handle your digital customers and digital business, and bringing scalability and drastic reduction in operations and cost. These are some of the key drivers you can put in, as your application initiative drivers. I'd like to touch upon, technology, right? Obviously, I think, with the digital, being the platform, technology is the core of digital, and it's important for order to cash executives and staff to kind of understand these common terms. What are these terms, and how do we use it, and what are these all about? Common terms, that are out there: machine learning. You hear machine learning, quite a bit out there. What is machine learning? Machine learning is the technology which can take, a lot of information into consideration, and based on that information, to be able to learn and understand patterns, is what machine learning does. For example, if you have hundreds of customers, paying, paying on invoices, ability to take that information and ability to understand that, hey, this particular customer has certain payment behavior, and maybe this customer, can, pay in, the next 33 days, for example, right? So ability to learn based on history of the data is what is machine learning. And that aspect is a big portion of order to cash technology, because that's where, I think you derive a lot of aspects. Machine learning is also part of artificial intelligence. So whenever you hear artificial intelligence and machine learning, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. And you'll hear, and I'll explain a little more about, different aspects of artificial intelligence also. You also hear the word data-driven process. What is data-driven process? Data-driven process means that, based on all of these data that is available on payments, available on disputes, available on deductions, available on credit risk, automatically you can drive your collection strategies, you can drive your risk strategies, and you can set up all of the information. For example, when you're driving a car, you can use maps, and you can have a destination, set up in your map. And based on your map, your car, again, in the new driverless cars, the car can automatically take you to the destination. Or if you're driving the car, at least the map directs you, take right, take left, etc. Data-driven processes means that with your data, the digital order to cash system will be able to guide you on, here is the next set of, customers, that you can focus on, to improve your cash collections. Or here is the, next set of, high risk, credit customers that you need to take care of. The system can automatically guide you with the task lists and all of that. Advanced analytics, we all have heard, over the last few years. I'm sure it's a very familiar term for you, but it's focused around how do you get reporting, and how do you get reporting across multiple different dimensions so you can understand what's happening. APIs, this is a term, again, that's a new term, for many order to cash folks, but that is the term called, application programming interfaces. Most systems today, are allowing connectivity. So which means that if you're using an SAP or an Oracle or a PeopleSoft, or, MS Dynamics or Sage or any others, they're all liberating data through APIs to be able to connect. And the connectivity is very easy, and it's not a long, arduous, process taking hours and consultants to do that. In today's order to cash systems, APIs and connectivity are a mandatory aspect, and you should expect these sort of connectivities to your ERP systems at a low cost and a rapid deployment. So look out for APIs. The next is the virtual assistants, digital assistants. These are now becoming an essential elements of every order to cash system, and for that matter, most enterprise systems are now getting accompanied by digital assistants. If you are having a digital assistant at home, asking, hey Alexa, what's the weather like today, or hey Google, what's the news today, you should be having a digital assistant right in your order to cash process, assisting your staff, assisting your customers, assisting your sales and operations team. And this is a mandatory element that you need to be looking for. And today, good order to cash systems do have well-trained assistants. So these assistants understand natural language, and understand several different languages. Today we have, our digital assistant, for example, Gia, understands, about 8 different languages and is already communicating and processing in 8 different languages. So some of these are very helpful as, for you to scale up the operations. Very quickly on, on the automation side. On the automation side, I'd like to touch 3 elements: automation, analytics, and AI. And I'll talk a little bit about how you can use, these 3 elements, in your order to cash process. So first and foremost, automation. Automation comes in 2 different forms. One is on robotic process automation, and the other is business process automation. So what is robotic process automation? Robotic process automation is, something where you can have a bot, do a simple repetitive process, like a data entry. So if you have to go open up a screen and do a data entry, and if you have to do 10 times in the day, instead of a human doing that, you can set up a bot or a process that can do that repeat items. And that's where robotic process automation is used. You can use that, for example, every day, if you have to go log into your customer portal, of a Walmart or a Amazon or, any other customer portal. And every day, if you have to look for information of, whether it's payment or, deductions information, and gather that pieces of information, instead of, you doing that particular task, you can simply have a bot, go, take care of that activity and gather that information. Like that, if you have a FedEx in a site that you have to look for PODs and other information, or any other external sites, or if you have to go to a, DNB and, look for an information, all of that today can be automated through bots. As an example, on the credit side, I'll give a simple example. We have a customer as a winery. They have to go every time they get a credit report or a credit application, they have to go check for alcohol beverage consumer license, ABC license. And they have to go to different state government sites to be able to go verify the license and come back. So the amount of time it takes to go log in and get that piece of information it takes a long time. And that is where, with an assistant or with a bot, if you're able to, deploy the bot saying, go check, California, a government website and, bring back, the ABC license information, a bot should be able to do that. And that's how, these new digital order to cash systems are giving you, these robotic process automation bots, to do all of these various different kind of tasks. So like that, invoice posting, is another, big, time saver. If you have to go post invoice in, 10 different portals out there, this is where invoice posting bots can help you, with those kind of activities. Another big saver is document data capture. And, again, an example I've given on remittance documents or your logbox images. I know we have several customers, using document data capture, capabilities in automation, where, if you have a bank statement, if you have a logbox image, today with these bots are able to read the document, extract the information, prepare the file for you, and tell and show to you that, hey, today you received 200 mails in your email box. Here are the attachments, and here are 25 remittance advisors, and I've extracted all of this, and here is how I've prepared this nicely documented Excel spreadsheet for you to take it forward. And so again, document data capture is a big component. And if you are today looking for digital order to cash systems, this is this particular feature functionality can provide tremendous advantage, in terms of, reducing your time, to manage, these processes. And of course, data entry bots, putting in, systems, information in different places. So automation is a key thing. Next, talking about analytics. Analytics, make sure that your system is able to have analytics that can provide, different types of analytics. What are the different types? One is descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics means looking at all of the data and telling you, hey, here are all the reports and trends and behavior patterns. This is all what has already happened. Predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is what is going to happen. What is the customer behavior like? Are they going to pay in 30 days or 50 days? Or what is the cash flow forecasting looking like, across a business unit? What is my 13 week, rolling window forecast? How can I see this week by week? How can I see this, by quarter to quarter? Or how can I see this by business unit wise? All of those predictive analytics is a must in the system. Prescriptive analytics, prescriptive analytics means the system should be able to suggest to you, for example, when you're doing cash application, you see a check that comes in, but, we don't know, there's not enough information on the check, and don't have enough supporting material. But the system, should be able to at least suggest to you, hey, based on some past experiences, maybe this check would be for this particular customer, or maybe for these, set of invoices. So it's prescribing to you, it's suggesting to you to look for, in a particular area. This is helpful to accelerate your productivity, accelerate your process. So look for prescriptive analytics. Embedded analytics. Embedded analytics means that when you're putting your collection strategy, or when you're putting, your, automation on credit strategy, all of these, it should be able to pick up the analytics and run with it, rather than having to wait for you to, give it, information. And this is where I think Dexter will cover how all of these different things, will come into, the different components of credit, collections, and all of that. Next, AI in terms of assistance. I mean, AI is used in a number of different ways, but just to be very tangible, I'll focus a little bit on, assistance, right? And tremendous power, of scalability, is brought by assistants. If you're simply able to ask the assistant, hey, when did this customer last pay? or, can you find me the, last check of, this particular customer, or, send this letter to the customer, or dial up the phone right now. Let's have a call together to the customer. Or when I'm talking to the customer, make notes. All of these different aspects, are possible by digital assistants. And this is a big shift. This is a tremendous shift that you're going to see over the next few years on how, these digital assistants are helping order to cash in a big way. So, please do take time to understand, how, you can train these assistants, to your processes, and how flexible they are, and, how you can use them. And there's a big portion of, again, the digital order to cash assistants. Another big revolution that's happening is on payments. B2B payments, are, one of the major, changes, happening in the fintech side of the business. Traditionally, payments have been the big friction in the order to cash process, and you had to chase, for payments. And today, the payments can go directly in the invoices to the customer, and giving the ability to the customer to pay the invoices right then and there, right? So majority of the low dollar value invoices can be automated with digital B2B payments. In the past, digital payments were expensive. Credit card payments, anywhere, closer to about 3%, had to be, paid, towards the fees. Wires were expensive, ACH were, cumbersome and late. But today, with a lot of revolution happening on the banking side, the banking systems, have been, liberating their data through the open banking APIs. Several new generation, fintech mechanisms with blockchain and, with the, direct bank-to-bank relationships, bank-to-bank integrations. These banking, interfaces are changing a lot. So today you're able to get real-time ACH. You're able to get the one-day ACH. You're able to get, almost like a, zero cost wires, as well as, recurring payments, split payments. All of those different aspects are coming there. So your digital order to cash system must have, global payments and these new generation payments capabilities, to make sure that you're not, chasing for that check or chasing for that, credit card payment. You have a lot of cheaper, better, faster options, today available, and look for these kind of systems. So with that, I'd like to hand this over to Dexter, who's going to talk about how this all comes together, and how, if you're looking only for a credit process, how all of these different aspects of automation, analytics, AI come together. If you're looking at a pure, receivables collections, how does it come together? Deductions, cash applications, customer care portal. So he's going to talk about individual line items, but how, all of these, overarching components of automation, analytics, AI all come together. So with this, I'll hand this over to Dexter. I know I've taken much longer time than, what was originally allocated, but over to you, Dexter.
Thank you, Veena. So in the next few minutes, we're going to look at the specific targeted by solution type. First of all, we're saying global customer 360. What does that mean? It means your new order to cash solution should have a 360-degree view of your customer's financial data. The solution should roll up and drill down from the children to the parent, and parent back down to the child level, and that should be across all business units and all geographies. Have the ability to consolidate the accounts receivable data to make informed decisions. This obviously involves, in most companies, multiple legacy and ERP systems that exist. So customer master data management plays a key role in digital order to cash. When circumstance, what, you want to go back, Rena? Sorry. When circumstances change, for instance, a large customer declares bankruptcy, maybe due to a natural disaster, which we had here in the United States, your solution should alert all the business units of this change in credit risk and adjust credit limits and collection activities immediately. So the ability to view, analyze, and quickly act on financial data is crucial for successful cash management today and in the future. Vina, next slide. So digital credit. The entire credit process has from application to limit setting has taken a giant leap forward in the last several years. And your new credit process should include some of the following functionality. Definitely online and mobile self-service, digital signatures, which Vina mentioned, no more hard copies, no more file cabinets, digital reference checks. Vina mentioned APIs, built-in integrations with government agencies, as she mentioned, banking institutions, and credit bureaus, all standard stuff today. Scoring models should be easily configured for different channels of distribution or business units or geographies. Workflow is now incorporated to guide the approval process, and backup documentation today can be stored electronically in one location for secure retrieval and easy access if necessary. Today, as we've been mentioning, we've seen a tremendous rise in the use of digital assistants, and that's not to limit the credit folks. Digital assistants are being used internally by the finance department for things like asking, what's the status of a credit application, or what is the credit risk exposure of an account? So the benefit of incorporating a digital credit solution into your order to cash process basically leads to a credit decision process in 5 minutes or less with minimal human intervention. And this functionality is available today. Dina, next slide. Digital order release. Another component of digital order release or order to cash that you should be looking for in a solution is digital order release. And what this means is the system will automatically review every order with a release or a hold outcome with minimal delay. And these digital release algorithms should be integrated with one, or sometimes for some of our customers, several credit bureaus that specialize in your industry. By combining the external data from these credit bureaus and your own internal data, customer scoring models can now produce accurate, timely, and really unbiased decisions. As we have mentioned before, digital assistants can enable internal users, such as like sales, or to check the account status without tying up a credit rep's time or a customer service agent, and eliminating that back and forth email scenario. Next slide, Vina. Digital collections. Probably the heart of reducing our DSO, improving our aging, et cetera. But electronic invoice presentment and payment is now a necessity, as Vina said. With bots, the posting of invoices has become much easier. And all digital collection solutions should include digital invoice presentment and payment. With AI, software can now be utilized to predict payment behavior, and that payment behavior would allows collection managers to change collection strategies on the fly. But probably the greatest asset in digital collection, in the digital collection arsenal, is the digital assistant. With many customers, the digital assistant can reach out to 80% of your customer base. And I'm using 80%. We all know the 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle. But 80% of your accounts compromise generally 20% of the dollar value. But by using the digital assistant, you're basically going to reach 80% of your customers, which frees up time for your collection staff to handle the larger key accounts. Also, with the digital assistant, your customers can interact with your company. So a typical interaction would be making an electronic payment or a promise to pay. Very common request would be, can I have a copy of an invoice? All of these communications with digital assistants are recorded and sent back to the collection note screens so that you always have consistent information, and it's a helpful tool, but there's not lost communication here. And this allows the collectors to action or follow up when necessary. A digital collection solution should also, I'll just quickly go. You should definitely have a prioritized task list that follows the collection strategy and incorporates new tasks as arise. And lastly, we'll quickly say that by utilizing the Credit Information Bureau information, the collection staff and team have another variable to fine-tune their collection strategies. So look for digital collection solution with these attributes, and this will allow you to improve your AR efficiency, lower your DSO, and identify and resolve disputes in a timely manner. Deductions, Vina. So auto deductions processing, really depending on your customer base, deductions can generate a tremendous amount of rework and strain on cash flow, but today's digital deduction solutions start at the time of cash application and end at the final resolution. The advanced cash application solutions out there will identify deductions and with workflow, track, escalate, record, and lead to the resolution of these disputes. The solution will help you maintain proper reason codes. We see companies with hundreds of codes, but reality is 30 or so is sufficient, and they can be adjusted over time. The workflow processing really is key to deduction resolution. Often in most companies we've been to, disputes take months and months, but with a well-tuned workflow, we can get deductions resolved in less than 1 week. And if you're selling to CPG, obviously digital deductions and workflow are key. Finally, digital assistants are coming into play as well with disputes, and appear both to benefit the customer and also for internal dispute identification. Customers utilizing a portal can identify a dispute, and that will go back to the collectors or the dispute management team. Basically, your goal is to determine the validity of a dispute, accept it or reject it in a timely manner, and ultimately repair the root cause of the dispute. So digital deductions management automate many of these processes and in turn reduce the cycle time from months down to less than a week. Cash application, Vina. Okay, cash application. Vina touched a lot on cash application, so I won't go over it due to the time here too much, but digital cash application solutions basically should include the ability to read, extract, and apply financial data. If you're a global company, remit to languages are no longer a problem. Look for the ability for your system to integrate with multiple banking institutions. The ability to sort out and handle complex payments, parent-child, as well as third-party payments is standard functionality. With today's AI tools, they're incorporating hundreds of rules so that we can achieve automated straight-through invoice to receipts matching and posting rates greater than 90%. I'm sure some of you are We have a range of customers ranging from 30% to 95%, but a good goal to meet is 90%. Also, again, the digital assistant comes into play. Sometimes we need more information. Utilize the digital assistant to automatically reach out to your customer and ask for that information that is missing that you need to apply the payment. Vina, next slide. Customer portals. Again, we touched on that, but customer self-service portals are now standard. There are many ways to gain quick adoption, and one of the simplest ways that we found is when you're introducing, when you have a new customer and in the onboarding process, introduce them to the portal. Today's portals and ease of payment gateway integrations allow your customers to make payment method choices. The digital solutions should accommodate credit cards, ACH debit, wire transactions, etc., and in a global environment, handle some of the newer payment gateways. When a customer logs onto a portal, they can ask or speak with, they can ask for or speak with a digital assistant, and that digital assistant can help them 24 hours a day. They don't go to sleep, which is a nice thing, but customers can basically do most any standard accounts receivable request. They can ask for, whether it be invoices, statements, post payments, etc. Finally, customer portals really enable straight-through invoice to receipts processing and provide tremendous benefit to your organization and to your customers, and they work around the clock. Next slide, Vina. Okay, reporting. Today's order-to-cash solutions definitely should provide you with excellent reporting capabilities. Dashboards for management should provide them with a pulse of the organization at any time. Today, real-time roll-up, drill-down functionality across geographies, business units, etc., is a requirement, and it's not a nice to have. So today's analyses need to slice and dice across data across multiple dimensions, and most managers really rely on a selection of standard operating reports, but it's not uncommon, as we all know, that management requests a change to a report. So the system you choose should be flexible to have a change in the output, appearance, or even source data. Basically, the program, the dashboards and reporting tools today should be able to handle these requests with ease. They should be flexible, they should be automatic, they should be consistent, available 24/7, and basically be able to handle the changing environment that we work in today. Okay, we have 4 minutes. Oh, all of this comes together with really super performance improvements. I think some of you on the phone are achieving some of these levels in some areas, but really improve current AR. 85% is a goal, but really the goal is to always constantly improve your current AR. Have a high hit rate. Definitely the cycle times for credit approval, dispute resolution time, improving DSO, and there are benefits of also redeploying staff to other areas in the company or where they can add other value-added services. So bottom line, all of these solutions, digital solutions, contribute tremendously to the efficiency of your organization, the effectiveness of bringing in the cash, and also to improve customer satisfaction. And all of those together make for a good opportunity to invest in digital to cash solutions. Vina?
Thank you, Dexter. Thank you, Dexter. So this is where, as Dexter has covered, there are lots of advantages with the digital order to cash system. You simply need to know what you need to look for, And this is where, again, you can look to order to cash, digital order to cash experts to guide you through, to put together the overall, the project requirements, project, expectations, all of that. And typically you can, go to consultants, like a Hackett Group, the analysts like Forrester, Gartner, IDC. And you can also come to vendors like us, where we have lists of, these list of questions. So if you're preparing for a project, or if you're thinking of, starting a project, please feel free to take help from us. We'll be happy to, guide you to that. And as we have covered in the last 60 minutes, there are a lot of new generation components. And I think it's really important for you, when you put together the budget, the project, the time, to, do the digital transformation, make sure that you're able to, include all of these important components. With that, I'll, take a stop. Thank you so much for all of you, who joined us here. And Beth, if we have any questions, happy to take some questions, or we can answer them offline if we are out of time.
Well, right now we do not have any questions, but we'll stay on the line for a couple more minutes to see if we do receive any. And if people wanted to ask them offline, they can either email us and we'll forward them over to Veena and Dexter, or you can go to Emagia.com and find a way to contact them there. We'll just hold on for a couple more minutes just to see if we have any questions. Okay, in the interest of time, I don't see any additional questions. I want to thank everyone for your participation, and thank you to Veena and Dexter. Please visit ICTF's website for all of our upcoming programs, and we hope to see everyone for our 2-day, 3-hour advanced Excel boot camp at the end of this month, and also our virtual global credit and collections and AR symposium, April 20th through the 22nd. The webinar has ended. We hope to see you soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.